Who's hungry? The deli's open. Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Marco's Deli. It's week 4 in college football, week 3 in the NFL, and we're going to keep things rolling along. The first 2 editions of Marco's Deli, well, how about 7 and 3? 70% winners for you here free on the show. Let's keep it rolling and get started with this week's action. The first game we're going to look at is Maryland at Wisconsin. Now, I feel this is a bad spot for Wisconsin. They come in here coming off that big game last week against Alabama. Now, granted, they lost the game, so the knee-jerk reaction would be to have them bounce back at home. But when you're coming off a big game like that against Alabama, SEC school, I feel that you're going to have a hangover effect here. Look at who they got up next. They got Michigan. Now, I will point out that that's in 2 weeks. They got a bye next week. It would have been absolutely perfect if they played next week. We would have had the perfect sandwich in between Alabama and Michigan. But they do have that 1 week buffer next week. But still, I think Maryland's an underrated commodity. They're undefeated, albeit against a soft schedule so far, but they have manhandled everybody that they've played. I think they're a live dog here. Let's go ahead and take Maryland plus 10 for play number 1. Play number 2, we're going to take a look at Tulane at Ole Miss. Talk about your sandwich spot. We catch Ole Miss here, who is coming off that barn burner last Saturday night against Arkansas. Now, they came out of that with a victory, 41-35. But now they got to come home and play a non-conference game against Tulane. How do you get up for Tulane after you just had that barn burner against a conference rival, Arkansas? Well, what makes matters worse for Ole Miss and makes this a deli special is look at who they play next week. LSU comes to town. Talk about a monster game in the SEC, perfect sandwich spot. You got a non-conference game against a lesser opponent, sandwiched in between 2 conference games, and with the next one being a marquee top 10 matchup. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take Tulane plus the points here. You're getting 13 points with Tulane. This is a horrible spot for Ole Miss. Let's go play number 2, Tulane plus 13. Play number 3, we're going to take a look at Louisiana Lafayette. They're going to travel to play Eastern Michigan. Now, I know you're probably saying, why are you looking at a game like this? Well, I'm looking to fade Eastern Michigan here. They return home after a road game where they went on the road to SEC country. They played Kentucky. Now, they got beat, as you would expect, in that game, and now they return home looking to bounce back. So a lot of people will give them a shot here. But this is a non-conference game against Louisiana Lafayette. Next week, they open up their conference season against in-state rival Central Michigan. I think this is a bad spot for Eastern Michigan. And I look at this Eastern Michigan defense, they can't stop the run. In 2 games this year, they've allowed 644 yards on the ground. I think Louisiana Lafayette's going to have success running the football and frustrate this Eastern Michigan team. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Louisiana Lafayette and lay the points minus 2.5. Now, before we get into the second half of the show, got to do a little business here as we do each and every week. If you like these videos that we are bringing you each and every week, do me a favor. It costs you nothing to do so. Just hit the like button. Give us that old thumbs up. It really helps out the channel, the algorithms, and it gets the word out there to other people to check out the video. And if you want to help grow this video and you appreciate what we're doing for you, do me a favor and tell your friends about it. Share the video. Let everybody know about these videos and the information that we are sharing with you for free. I appreciate it. And if you want to make sure you never miss one of these videos, then hit the subscribe button. Once again, it's free to subscribe. You'll be notified every time there's a new video. And if you do want to join me for my premium selections over at WagerTalk, well, then head on over there. We've got a special. We ran it last week, and if you took advantage of it, you had a big weekend. we offered you the Weekend Warrior package. It's $49. It gets you all of my football on Saturday, all of my football on Sunday, and it includes any 5% plays. Now, I don't have 5% plays all the time, but I did have one last week, and it was a big winner. Our 5% was North Texas. They were -6. They won 59-10. I'm now 32-13 with these 5% plays going back to February of 2024. That's like 19 months, and we are 32-13 with these plays. I plan on having another one this weekend, so pick up that Weekend Warrior package once again for $49, and you won't miss out on a play Saturday or Sunday in football. Last week, we went 3-1 on Saturday and 2-1 on Sunday. That lone loser on Sunday was by a half a point, and it was the only time they weren't covering in the game. Cincinnati scored a touchdown to beat Jacksonville by 4 with just 18 seconds left in the game. Tough loss, very close to the 3-0 sweep on Sunday. All right, enough about that. You know where to find me, WagerTalk.com. If you want to go directly to my homepage, just go to WTBuzz.com/MD. All right, let's get to the final two plays on this week's show. And we're going to take a look at West Virginia as they travel to play Kansas. Now, West Virginia, this is a potential trap game for them, guys. West Virginia, they're coming off that thrilling come-from-behind overtime win over their hated rival, the Pitt Panthers, last Saturday in Morgantown in the Backyard Brawl. Now, those of you that aren't familiar with that, that is a heated rivalry. They used to play every year, but the series got suspended as these two teams went into different conferences. They renewed it 4 years ago. They played 4 straight years. This was the 4th of the series, and they split the 4-2-2. It was a big game for West Virginia to win. They didn't want to lose 3 out of 4 to their hated rival. Now, that series also, why that game was so big is because it's being suspended again until 2029. So coming off that big win, I just don't see them mentally prepared this week as they head out on the road to play Kansas. Now, Kansas has had the luxury of an extra week to lick their wounds from that Missouri loss. Very misleading final score in that Missouri game, but that game was 2 weeks ago. If that game would have been last week, I wouldn't be playing Kansas here, but they've had that extra week to regroup, hit the reset button, and get themselves prepared for this West Virginia team. And I'm going to tell you, this West Virginia defense is not good. They're going to have trouble stopping Kansas in this game. I expect Kansas to go up and down the field against West Virginia. And if West Virginia is a little hungover, maybe a little bit too much of a party last Saturday, celebrating that win over Pitt, it's going to be a long afternoon for them on the road. I'm going to go ahead and take Kansas. I'm going to lay the 13 points here. On the surface, this looks like a monster number, but I'm telling you, this is a horrible spot for West Virginia. Go ahead and lay it with Kansas. For the 5th and final game of this week's show, we're going to go to the NFL on Sunday. And our NFL plays perfect 2-0 so far this year on Marco's Deli. Let's see if we can make it 3 in a row. And talk about a sandwich spot. We're going to take a look at Green Bay at Cleveland. Now, I know Cleveland is an ugly-looking team, but the one thing they do have is they do have a good defense. And this is a bad spot for Green Bay. Full disclosure, earlier in the week, I did make a teaser with Green Bay because I got them down to -1.5 where they just have to win the game. I don't see them losing this game, but I do see them struggling and winning the game late. And the reasons for that are, look at this scheduling spot for Green Bay. They're coming off opening the season against the team that everybody feels they have to beat to win the division. They opened up against the Detroit Lions, and they absolutely shut the Lions down in a dominating win. Then they had to turn around and play on a short week. They played on Thursday night last week. A big TV game against another darling, the Washington Commanders, where they were the surprise team last year, making the playoffs and even winning a playoff game last year. Well, Green Bay took care of business on Thursday night and beat Washington. Now, I realize that Green Bay does have a few extra days to prepare for this game because they played on Thursday. But here's where the problem is. After those two big wins on opening week and then on Thursday, look at who they play next week. Another primetime game. They play Sunday Night Football. They go to Dallas. Now, I know Dallas, not a good team this year, but you got all the sidebars to that game. It's going to be a Sunday night game. It is the Cowboys. It's in Jerry's world. And, oh, yeah, Micah Parsons returning to Dallas. That's going to be a big story. So this is a horrible spot for the Packers. I see them being in a dogfight and winning this one by a field goal late. We're going to go ahead and call Cleveland plus the points. Now, this line's sitting at 7.5 right now. I think this line goes higher later in the week when the public gets involved because there are going to be a lot of teasers to Green Bay. And that's why I grabbed that teaser earlier in the week, because I think the books, as they start to get money line parlays and teasers on Green Bay, they're going to push this line up to 8.5, and maybe even get it to 9 to discourage anybody from taking those teasers. So wait till game day, Sunday, to grab Cleveland. I think you'll get your best number on Sunday. But I do like the Browns plus the points here for the final game on Marco's Deli. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Hey, tell me what games you like, what you don't like. Tell me if there's anything else you want to see on Marco's Deli. Leave me a comment. We like that. And don't forget, give us that thumbs up. It really helps the channel out, and I appreciate it. Until next week, guys, let's eat good this week. Let's keep this run rolling along. Don't forget about the Weekend Warrior package. I'll be back with you next week. Until then, let's cash some tickets. Good luck, guys.